Alright, so hello everybody, my name is Sync7. In today's video I'll be doing my submission video for SGDQ 2017. I'll be doing a no research run of Luigi's Mansion 80% out of bounds. And I'll be doing a live commentary as I go through it. But without further ado, let's get started. So first thing you might see is that that file had 100 on the number. Now what that shows is that that file has actually been beaten 100 plus times. Now, in this game, we allow a New Game Plus, which has always been allowed in this community. And you can also see if someone is using a New Game Plus file, which is called the Hidden Mansion. If you look at the bottom right corner, you can see that little star. Now, why we run this? Because it doesn't do any changes throughout the game except a few things. One, we don't have to play through a tutorial when we start the file right here, which is a very boring and long cutscene. Second of all, when we don't, because we're not in a normal mansion, the game basically gave us a better upgraded vacuum, which is a 1.5 times better vacuum power, which allows you to suck up ghosts faster. Now, overall in this game, how to do this speedrun optimally is with the ghost spawns. We want to learn where they spawn, and after you learn where they spawn, you also want to do the boost strat. So, how sucking them up optimally works is that you basically want to use the C-stick or analog stick in the opposite direction of where they spawn. So, with these specific ones, because they only have 10 HP, I'm actually just going to hold the C-stick in the opposite direction of where they spawn. With the other ghosts coming up later though, they will have way more HP than 10 HP, which means I have to do the boost strat, the ghost strat, which means that I have to push the analog stick in the opposite direction every 10 HP. So right here a 20 ghost is gonna spawn, so I'm gonna go up on it, and then I'm gonna hold up, and then at 10 HP I'm gonna tap up again, and that will cause it to die. Now, anytime there's multiple ghosts gonna spawn, such as a double right here, I stand in specific spots throughout these rooms, and I try and move in specific ways to basically group them up so I can get doubles, because it saves a lot of time when we're catching them one by one. Right here, I'll be doing a strat where I bonk on this chest, then I pull out my game horror, which skips a scared animation, and I'm gonna suck up both of them. And right here, Banana Ghost for some reason is the only ghost that you can push without actually taking any damage. I'm gonna push him into the yellow ghost, and I'm gonna do that twice, and that allows me to double them too. Now, if you do that optimally, they actually don't drop a banana, as you can see right there, but if you do it pretty sloppily, it will suddenly drop a banana, but that was pretty good. So, normally the doors are closed, and you will see that I go through each room to get another key, which allows me to go to the next room. Now, what's the major difference between the out-of-bounds category of this game and no out-of-bounds, which is more heavily run, is that the 80% category of this game is only about 10 minutes. You basically go from the first area of the game, and if you don't know what the areas are, there's 4 areas in this game, and it's basically 4 parts of the game you play through. So, after the first area, there's going to be a chest that will spawn up against the wall. Now, if you go in between this chest and the wall, before the chest fully spawns, you can actually clip out of bounds, which will be used in this category. And that allows us, with a lot of other glitches, to go to the final boss straight away. Now, in the no out of bounds categories, they ban the out of bounds glitch completely. You're still allowed to do glitches, but not the out-of-bounds glitch. So, you will still see some text skips and stuff in the other categories, but not the out-of-bounds glitch. So, I'll only be playthrough through the first area for about 6 minutes until I go out of bounds, and then I'll be doing a lot of certain glitches to get to the final boss. Now, you will see also some specific weird movements, such as I'm holding B right here in this room, for example, because the GameCube actually has a hard time in these specific rooms because there's a lot of lag with the wind and the leaves. So I'm gonna hold B in this room, and that will cause less lag. So coming up is the Area 1 boss. So in the end of each area, one of the portrait ghosts will basically get you into a different area, I guess like a fighting arena, outside of this mansion, and you will fight it. And then you will spawn back into the mansion after you beat him. So I'm gonna go to that rocking horse, and it's gonna spawn the boss. I'm gonna shoot the ball at him, and he's gonna give me some text, and it will put me into the fight. You will also see it when I'm in these texts, which I haven't brought up yet, that I'm in the Japanese version of this game. Now, these small texts, like in Area 1, is actually about the same speed in English and in the Japanese version of the game. But the big difference is King Boo text. For some reason, the King Boo text is about 5 seconds shorter on the Japanese version compared to English. And in the new out of bounds categories, there is a long 2-minute time where you actually just have constant text, and that saves about 30 seconds. So you will always see runners run on the Japanese version. Another version difference is that you actually take double damage on Hidden Mansion on the English version, which makes the speedrun actually more difficult. I don't recommend it. So I'm going to go up against these walls and make this rocket launcher shoot at me. And right after that, I'm going to line myself up here with my vacuum, and I'm at Luigi's position. And I'll be walking back and then left. And that will allow me to pick up the ball while it's going backwards, because normally it would bounce all the way back against this wall, and then I could pick it up. But you can actually pick it up in midair. Now, I manually release it, the suck up, before 50 HP, because if you go underneath 50 HP, it will send a third rocking horse on this second cycle. And you cannot one cycle this specific portrait ghost. So right here, I'm going to do the same thing, but this ball pickup's a little different. You actually can't pick it up in midair. So I'm going to get hit by this rocking horse, and then I'm going to bonk on this wall, which actually delays my damage avoidability frames. I'm going to get hit by the ball, but because I can't get hit, because I have those frames still active, it's just going to land in front of me. Now, after that, I'm going to hold upright on analog stick right after this fight, which will put me behind this chest before it spawns. Then I'm going to bonk on this painting, and I'm going to clip out of bounds. After that, you will see that I pause and change the sidestep from standard. Now, doing this allows you to walk around without having the flashlight change angles. It's very important for this next glitch coming up called a skew. So if you get hit by enemies underneath Luigi with a specific angle onto his feet, you can actually get very weird angle on Luigi. Now if I hold C-stick down and I release the C-stick down just at the time when I get hit, I'll actually keep the angle. Instead of it being temporary, I'll actually keep the angle, which allows me to angle over an invisible wall. And right here I'll be buffering this, and I'll do the same thing again. Now I'm going to go in this corner with this very specific angle. Go to standard and press A and then X, which go into first person camera 1 frame later, which will put me in the basement of this mansion. Then I'll be doing this lineup right here, if I can get it, with this pillar, which makes this much more RTA viable for runs. I'm gonna go forward right here, and I'll be holding up left, and I'm through. So when you fall there out of bounds, you will land out of bounds. Now, when you're out of bounds, if there's no floor underneath Luigi, he will actually be considered constantly falling, which will be a soft lock. So if you go too far to the right, which is outside of where the tunnel is, and there's no floor that's going out of bounds, you will soft lock. But there's also King Boo there, checking if you have 40 boos, because in a normal no out of bounds run, any percent no out of bounds, you need to get 40 boos, because otherwise you're not allowed to enter this boss fight. So because you can't enter, I have to get 40 boos. Now there's a very small area you can stand on in between the cutscene trigger of him saying you don't have 40 boos, because that expands way far out of bounds, and the void, which will be the soft lock. So I line myself up there, I walk straight forward, and then I pause the game, and I hold in between up and up left, and I get into the King Boo chamber. Now when I'm in this boss fight right here, all I want to do is basically try and do a boo strat. So I was trying to say it earlier, but I was mixing it up. So there's a strat called the boo strat, which makes boos get stuck in midair. Now King Boo is actually treated as a completely normal boo throughout the mansion. The only difference is he has a crown on his head. So what I want to try and do is I want to try and do a 2 cycle right here. I might fail it, but hopefully we can get it. So I'm gonna basically stand underneath him, and I'm gonna just not do anything and try not to move as minimum as possible and drain a lot of HP from him. Now, when I drain a lot of HP from him, I'm gonna start tapping my vacuum out like this. And how that works is I hold L, and I hold L, and then I release, I hold R, and then I release R, and tap R again. And every time you do that, he will be stuck for about 10 HP. Now, if you do that, you can get about 250 HP. And if I do this again, hopefully, we'll be able to 2 cycle him. So I'm gonna focus a little bit here. So, one thing that can troll you right here is that if he goes too far high up or too far down, you actually can't really drain a lot of HP from him. And bam! 9 minutes and 18 seconds. That is the 2 cycle. So when you get to a 0 HP, you'll get the crown, and you defeated Bowser, and there is the run. This was 1 take, and I actually didn't do much warm-up from this, but that's a pretty decent run, so I think I'm gonna upload this. So, that is the any percent category of Luigi's Mansion. Last time, the any percent category out of bounds, or glitches they called it at the time before it was renamed to as any percent, wasn't shown on last time until 2013. Now since then, a lot of more optimizations have been found, so I really hope you'll consider this run for SGDQ 2017. Thank you guys for watching the run. I hope you enjoyed, and that is it for me.